from having a full life filled with God? Is it the fact that you do not know Him? Is it the fact of you are ashamed of Him? Is it the fact that God's not cool enough for your crowd? Because one day, every knee shall bow, and every tongue shall confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. Verse number 26, for the King knoweth these things, before whom I also speak freely. For I am persuaded that none of these things are hidden from Him. For these things were not done in a corner. King Agrippa, believest thou the prophets? I knowest thou believest. Go to verse 28. Then Agrippa said unto Paul, almost thou persuadest me to be a Christian. Look at verse 29. Can you pull it up for me? And Paul said, I would to God that not only thou, but also that thou hear me this day, where both almost and altogether such as I accept these bonds. He's saying, I do have bonds. I do have chains. I am wrapped up in something, but what I'm wrapped up in is worth dying for. What I'm wrapped up in is worth dying for. Now, if you told a lie, it ain't worth dying for. But if you've got the truth and you've got the truth deep down in your heart, I promise you, you'd be willing to die for it. When that truck hit that telephone pole, it's real funny. Was it worth dying for? Mm-hmm. Was it worth dying for? It would be worth dying for? It was that much fun. Okay. He's dead set that it was that much fun that it was worth dying for. I would tell anybody in this room, do not ever ride with him. Because a fun little donut in the rain is not worth dying for in my world. Y'all, God is not out of style. God is not bottled up in a certain type of worship. God is not in this little spectrum of this funny thing over here that nobody likes. I love God. I love the Lord with all my heart. I love godly things. I love godly music. My kids will tell you that 99.999% of the time, that's all I listen to if my radio's on. That's what I choose to listen to. I don't beat them up if they go listen to something, because if God don't change their heart, I sure ain't going to change it.
That's right.
If I ain't got enough God in me, they ain't never going to have no God in them.
That's right, bro.
Do I like it a lot of times? No. Do I tell them to turn that crap off a lot of times? Yes. I want to mind what my heart feels. But Paul told King Agrippa, he said, almost thou persuadest me to be a Christian. How many of you are being persuaded in an area just like Paul was? Of being accused daily, living a life just like that young man lived, knowing that he had done wrong, but he got loved and cherished at the end of what he done. But you may be caught up in a battle of being almost persuaded rather than all the way. And if y'all want a title to a message tonight, this is something I don't want you to forget. Either you're going to be almost, or you're going to be all the way. You're going to be almost, or all the way. This is going to be almost Genesis Baptist Church, or if y'all don't quit, it will be all the way Genesis Baptist Church.
That's right.
This will be almost a youth group, or y'all can choose to make it an all the way youth group. You do not have to have somebody to push you along. you've got somebody in heaven that will hold your hand and walk you every mile, every step of every day.
It's good.
If you depend on me being here every week, and I will as long as the Lord tells me to be here, but if you depend on me being here and me to come teach you and you to live off of what I give you just one time a week, you're not going to have much to hold on to. But if you'll go home every day and you'll say, Lord, help me. Lord, daily, I want to give my prayer to you daily. Psalms 55:17 says, in evening and morning and in noon will I pray and cry aloud, and you shall hear my voice. Psalms 23 starts off and it says, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. And it goes on to say, he maketh me to lie down in green pastures, he restores my soul. He leadeth me beside the still water. Those are things that I sit there and day in and day out, I quote to myself. That's what keeps me going. That's what makes me press on. Just like John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. But everybody stops there. For God sent not his Son into this world to condemn them, but yet they might be saved all the way. All the way. If you finish verse 17, it takes you all the way. You could stop at verse 3:16 and not accept it and go all the way to hell, but almost make it to heaven. You can be almost or all the way. Paul said, I think myself happy along this journey. He was accused of his accusations. He stood before two different kings, Caesar and Agrippa. He stood before Bernice. And one of the funniest names was Festus here in this story. And Festus was a little man. I've been picking on you already, done nothing all around you. Festus was the guy walking with Paul going, I'm taking you to see somebody and you're fixing to get in trouble. Oh, you're fixing to get it right now, mister. I'm taking you over here to Agrippa. And then we're going to see Caesar. And then we're going to see Bernice. And then he ain't going to be too nice when you get there to see Bernice. But here you go. You are guilty. But led all over his journey, being led by someone else. But yet he chose himself to stay faithful, to be all the way, to stand faithful in what he believed, to be all the way, to know that it could cost him his life, to be falsely accused of the most powerful men that day and time, but he went all the way. But at any point in time, he could have said, all right, man. He said, let's just stop here. I don't want to go face them. I'll just say I'm guilty. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this journey. I'm tired of it. You can be almost or all the way in your witness. You can be almost or all the way in your words. You can be almost or all the way in your wondering. Whether you're wondering in your mind of what's going to be tomorrow, or whether you're wandering around with somebody dragging you all over this world, trying to influence you by the things of this world and convince you that you are something that you are not. Do not be almost. Live your life to be all the way. I'm going to end with an illustration and I'll be done. Untangle that for me, Kevin. That's one of my impossible knots there. I want y'all to listen while he's doing that. Just be real quiet. There's going to be days that you're going to feel like your life is just like this room right now. You're not going to hear no voice. You're not going to feel nothing. You're not going to hear nothing. But I promise you, I have been there. And God was right there every time. There's never been a day, as I said, that He's never left me nor forsaken me. For a long time, it was just like this room. It was so quiet. I didn't hear nothing. I'd pray. I didn't feel nothing. I begged God to let me just, almost like faith was ripped out of me. Like I got to where I couldn't even, I was like, I wonder if all this is even real. Don't it be real with you? But then all of a sudden, just a still small voice. Not an audible voice, but something deep down inside of me. He said, I never leave you. I never forsake you. Put that in a circle right here for me. It was nothing. It was nothing for me to wake up and take advantage of having a big youth group on a Sunday morning. And I said take advantage of the fact of just get up and go through the motion just because I knew those kids were going to show up. I wouldn't study. I'd go in and shoot off the side of my hip with something a lot of days. Took advantage of it. But then God said, was a man to profit if he gained the whole world and lose his own soul? I sit there and I studied that Bible over these last few years of when I've been alone, when I haven't sit in a church, when I haven't had a preacher to fall behind or learn a talent or to learn homiletics or hermeneutics. I haven't been able to take that upon myself and do something out of, oh, look at me. Look, I can work out of an ability. I can work out of a talent. All those things are great. All those things are needed. But what is a man to profit if he gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Chloe, stand up. Mike, stand up. What have I profited if I go and halfway teach a class every Wednesday night or every Sunday morning to 60 or 100 teenagers, but I go home to them and they see a false dad and I lose them to hell? Well, I've been serving. I almost saved my own kid's life while I was over here saving 100 others, but I all the way lost my own home. So I started investing into my home. I started investing into my kids. I started investing into my time. I started praying and seeking God over them. And I said, Lord, if I ever go back, if I ever do anything, I want my kids to see something real without having to walk through a church doors and say, well, look at him. Ain't he nice going to church today? But when my kids look at me, they know that what they see in my home, they're going to see right here in this church. Yeah. The way that I live out there and I cut up and have fun with them, I'm going to do the same thing right here.
That's right.
I want them to see all the way. I laid there with a gun to my head wanting to die because I had an almost life. But I had to go to an almost death to figure out I all the way needed to put that into my home. That I all the way needed to read and study my Bible. That I didn't need to just read these few verses today and 10 minutes before church, but yet for a whole week I've read this story every day over and over, and I prayed and I called out these kids' name and don't even know their name. And I was saying, Lord, you know this child. And I compared him to Kalen. I said that he looked like his little brother. Did I not say that tonight? Because I've had him in my mind, but I've called him out to God along with my own kids. My whole point of my story tonight is a 10-year-old boy shot and killed another teenage boy or kid. He was accepted and loved, and his life was changed. Paul stayed on the journey day in and day out, and if I could stand here for an hour, I could probably go back through the journey of Paul and tell you everything that I've read over this last week. But I believe with all my heart what needed to be said was said tonight. I could give you every step that he took, every move that he walked along his journey. But when it comes down to it, you've got to ask yourself, are you happy? And if you say, well, I'm not very happy. There was an old Indian chief, and he stood there, and I'm using this as an example, but he stood before God, and God stood there, that old Indian chief, and he told him, he said, now, I want you, I want your family, I want your life, I want everything, I want you to serve me. I want you to be all the way. And that Indian chief said, all right. Here you go. And God looked back at that Indian chief and he said, thank you for giving me that. He said, what is it, Lord? You're not satisfied with what I give you? He said, no, I'm happy with it. He said, all right, here. Come here. Will you stand right there? He said, here you go, Lord. There you go. Lord said, that pleases me. He said, but it's not what I'm looking for. I'm giving you a story of my life, something God showed me. Jamie, come here. Just stand right there. Here you go. Here you go, Lord. Lay one foot out. Here you go, Lord. God said, you closer, but that's not what I'm looking for. You can go sit back down. Come here, young man. Oh, yeah, come. Just get in there. Okay? He said, all right, Lord. He said, that's it. He said, that's. He said, are you happy? God said, yes. All those things please me. That's serving. That's giving. You got your kids in there. You got some of your prized possession in there. I like that. And well, Lord, hold on a minute. Here, I connect with the whole world with this thing, God. Surely that'll please you. Oh, it pleases me, but still not what I'm looking for. I lived my life like that for a lot of years. I read this story about Paul 13 years ago, and it did not mean anything like it means to me today. But what God was looking for was me to go, he said, now I'm happy. Yeah. He said, you're not almost. He said, you're all the way. Yeah. I'm almost. How many of you are sitting in this room tonight with one foot in the world and the other foot hanging over here? I want God, but I want acceptance. I want God, but I don't want to be made fun of. You know what I think about anybody that thinks anything about me? Jonathan, you worked with me for 2.5 years now. Do I care what anybody thinks about me? Not one bit. And I'm not prideful or boastful over that. If anybody needs anything from me, what could you say of knowing me the last 2.5 years? I'd give it to them, and I'm not prideful or boastful about that. And I've had a lot of people look at me, kids, and say, well, you ride around in those big old fancy trucks. Honestly, I do, and it's a passion, and I love it. But I wholeheartedly could stand right here, and you could take the keys to that truck, and I'd be perfectly content.
Yeah.
I'd be perfectly happy. I don't need all those things, and I believe that's why God does bless me the way that He does, because I got to a place in life where I wanted people to see those things. Josh, I did. I wanted to see success. I was picked on because I quit school in the 10th grade. I was told I'd never be nothing. Y'all go sit down. I was told you'll never amount to anything. And I got prideful because I had a talent. And I was good with putting woodworking together. I got prideful. I said, I'm going to show y'all. And I had nice trucks. You know me all my life pretty much in that spectrum. But I used it for the wrong reason. And now you could come and you could take every possession that I have. And used to, I would fight for those possessions. But you touch my wife or my 3 kids, you're going to fight me. You come get something materialistic, you can have it. I enjoy it. I love going to the lake. I love my boat. That's probably one of my most fun things. Getting on my boat, going to spend the day with my kids, getting on the boat and going fishing. That is life to me. But it ain't this life.
Yeah.
When you lay flat on your back and nothing else, none of those things mattered. Not one bit of those things brought me any happiness while I was standing out here. Not one bit of those things could help me. Not all the acceptance in the world. Go to my Facebook and look. I got people on there that I have no clue who they are. I've got almost 5,000 people that follow me on Facebook. I don't care. I don't. I'm not saying that in a mean way, but I don't care.
Amen.
But you know what I use it for? To post a cool looking truck up there and then put a Bible verse under it. Or send a Snapchat out and have a funny meme on it and post a Bible verse on it. Because, yeah, I'm going to have a good time. But what you see is what you get. Have I ever been any different? And I want y'all to know I am not prideful in that. It almost took my life away from me to get to this point. And if I had it all over to do again, and I knew I could stand right here, I'd do it all over again. So when you're walking on your life's journey like Paul was, and you're being accused of everything, and you're being told you're not good enough, don't get prideful. Don't sling the hand of the person that's dragging you around. Don't swell up and bow up at the person that's being falsely accusing of you. But yet say, I'm going to stand on what God told me, and if it don't happen, it don't happen, but I'm just going to believe what He told me He was going to do. I'm going to go the road that He wants me to go. I'm going to do the things, and I'm going to say the things, and I'm going to act a certain way to be pleasing unto God. And if I fail, it will not be that I did not give my all to God. Let them pick at you. Because 10 years from now, they won't even know where you live, what you're doing, what your name is hardly anymore. You'll meet them in locos, and they'll go, hey, I think I went to school with you. Yeah, we were best friends, for 5 or 6 years. What was your name again? Am I right or wrong?
Yep.
Paul said, I'm going to be all the way. He said, I'm going to be happy. But he had to go through some turmoil. He had to go through some strife to get to that point of all the way. I want to ask you, Brother Frankie, if you'll play something just for a minute. You want to live an almost, or you want to live all the way? And it ain't going to be easy. You're going to wake up tomorrow and you're going to face that same little kid that picks on you every day. And I'm not saying that he does. I'm just saying that it may not be you. It may be the other little fellow sitting back there. He's not going to go away. But you know what? You'll say, buddy, I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on with you. I don't know why you're so mad or what you're so angry about. But whatever it is, I'll pray for you. You never know. He might be that young man that's sitting across from that mother. You may be the very one that child is poking and prodding at you. He might be angry because he ain't got mama to go home to. He might be picking at you because he ain't got a daddy at home. I'm glad y'all come tonight. Y'all have one of the best daddies, best father-in-laws of any man that I know. And I mean that. That man has never judged me. If anything, he's done everything. Any time, all through the last 20 years of my life, he's done anything to help me. Because I watched him pray for every one of y'all. Right here. These grandkids, he was standing right here when they laid at home in the bed sick. That man, I watched him, he stood right here. I don't do everything right all day. I make mistakes, I slip up, I do things I shouldn't do. But by the grace of God, I look to him and I want to stay right here. Taylor, Hayden was born when I was 17 years old. My wife was 16 years old. Do I want that for y'all's life? No. But I'm thankful for where God's placed me today. Do I want that for my own kid's life? No. That's been the hardest road. That's been a hard road. But that's why I'm standing here tonight. Because if God used me, that's right. Children are awesome. They're the best thing that ever happened to me. But right now ain't time. Don't live out here and get everything. You have the opportunity to get right here, right now. And everything on the outside. Instead of living out here where everything's tearing you down and tearing you apart, live here, stand faithful here, and let those things come to you. Because once they cross over into here, they're not going to be wanting to tear you down. That's right. They're not going to want to tear you apart. Paul said right there in the last verse, he said, I want you to be almost or altogether just as I. It's just like I am. I want y'all to have the peace that I have. I want y'all to have the comfort that I have. I want y'all to have what's inside, not the things that you see on the outside that goes, oh, I bet that man's happy. No. What's in here? What's in here? Do you hurt ever? Just mentally, emotionally? Are you ever sad? You are? What are you sad about? Just think that to yourself. Don't say it out loud. You ever sad, baby? Frankie, you ever sad? What about you? Are you ever sad? Kaylin, you ever sad? Jonathan, you ever sad? It's amazing how much hurt's in this one room right here. But Paul didn't say he wasn't hurt. Did y'all ever see? I want y'all to go home and read that. Paul didn't ever say he wasn't hurting. He just said, I know what I believe, and I know where I'm going to stand, and I'm going to stand faithful right where God's placed me. It's going to hurt, girls, when that boy breaks your heart. The one that you just thought you was madly in love with. Do you know that every one of y'all sitting right there, right now, all you long for is a young man to love you and cherish you? And I could look over here and I could look at these boys, and you know everything that y'all long for right now is y'all to take advantage of a girl that's all they want. That's hard. That ain't popular. That ain't fun. But when I look at the faces and a man that's been married 19 years to the same woman, and I know the hurt and the anguish that I put my own life through because of me being arrogant, me being a jerk. But now I got to a place where every day I try to tell her that I love her. Every day that I try to tell her that she means the world to me. Every day. I love you. I'm thankful for you. I'm grateful to call you my friend and my wife. I love to see you smile. I love to hold you when you're upset. I love the color of your eyes. I love the color of your hair. I love your tiny wiggling feet, because she wiggles her feet all the time. I love the way you love your children. I'm encouraged by your drive and your hard work ethic. I love the meekness of you towards God. I appreciate the effort within our home. I appreciate all you do for me as a person. I enjoy listening to all your stories you tell me, although I'm not much of a responder. I'm thankful for your persistence and not giving up. I love the fact that you get a little feisty sometimes and got a little attitude. I love your motivation to love others. I love your style of attire. I love the idea of you always being by my side. I'm thankful for the faithfulness you provide within me. I'm grateful for the security you bring to my heart. I'm just thankful again to call you mine. I'm thankful of a lot of things that don't get said nearly enough, and I love you, and I just wanted to say I thank you for being you. Young ladies, it took me 19 years to talk like that to my wife. But I meant every word that I said. Don't settle for a punk boy. If I'd have got back over here a long time ago, I could have had that opportunity to said it much earlier. I could have had the opportunity to live like that a long time ago. But I like it out here too good. I like to go fishing on a day when my kids were real young and sit on the boat all day while 3 kids screamed and hollered all day. And then Miss Stephanie go home and crawl in a bed and go to sleep while Mama still took care of those kids. Almost, or all the way. If their mama needs something right now, you could ask either one of them. If she called my phone right now and said, I need you home in 20 minutes, I would blow that truck up trying to get there. They know that, wouldn't they? But had I not lived with a little bit of hurt, with everything else falling apart out from around me, and me finding, it wasn't that I found this great love with my wife. She'd been there for a lot of years. It wasn't that I found a great love with my kid or relationship with my kids because they live with me every day. Because I found myself. I'm giving you the opportunity You may be lost. You may not even know what I'm even talking about tonight. You may be wandering around in the wilderness and going, what in the world is man even talking about? You have the opportunity to bow your head and call out on God in heaven and say, Lord, I believe in you. I believe in Jesus. I believe he died and he was buried and he raised on the third day. If you believe that and you have faith in that, in the very instant that you put your faith and trust in that family, I promise you will not die and go to heaven. I promise. Because if you believe that Bible and you put your faith and trust in Jesus and Jesus alone to get to heaven, you cannot die and go to heaven. Because you cannot prove me any wrong in that Bible. If you've never done that, right now, he said today is the day of salvation. Don't wait till tomorrow. Because it also says no man knows what's on tomorrow. Which means nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow. No man knows the day nor the hour which the Son of Man cometh. That's not talking about the rapture in that very scripture there. He's talking about death. He said, I looked for a day. He said to the man's heart, that it failed him not. He's not talking about a deceitful heart there. He's talking about a man having a heart attack and a man dropping dead. He's like, your hour is right now. Your time is right now. You've heard a clear presentation of the gospel. You've heard about almost or all the way. It's your choice to make the decision. Do you want to stay out here? Or you make the opportunity as a teenager, as a young parent, as an older parent, whatever it is, to get right here and get right here tonight. And if you'll stand here, this right here starts growing on you. That's right. More and more and more. But if this is over here, you staying right here, and you even close, it'll jump on you every once in a while. But it's easy to stray away. I'm giving you the opportunity right now. Come around the altar. If you want somebody to pray with you, I'll pray with you. Miss Tina can pray with you. Frankie, one of the ladies here, can pray with you. Bow your head for me. I don't want anybody looking around. If you never trusted God as your Lord and personal Savior, I just want you to raise your hand up and put it right back down. If you never accepted Jesus as your Lord and personal Savior, raise your hand up. All right? If you say that I live my life almost, I'm saved, but I dabble and I stay out in the world all the time, and very seldom do I get close to God. Very seldom do I pray. Very seldom do I read my Bible. How many of you would raise your hand and say that? All right. Y'all know that I'm not ashamed of you for seeing those hands. That I love you and I respect you. Because I was a man one day that didn't read my Bible, and I didn't pray, and I didn't study. But you know what in return? Just like that boy shot that woman's son, she loved him despite of his failure. And I am thankful that I've got a God in heaven that I can trust.